For USCFootball.com, I'm Jack Smith alongside Chris Treviño for instant analysis from USC's Tuesday practice of Notre Dame week. Chris, we don't get to see practice, but you do have practice takeaways today. Super exciting. Can you please share them with me?
Well, the first one is it's a little bit rainy right now. It's a little bit drizzly. Last time you did an instant was at UCLA, and that was a rainy game. We got a little bit of rain here going to Thanksgiving weekend. But observing the team coming out, they just felt so much lighter, so much happier, so much jokey, a lot of positive energy. Did not match the weather that I saw earlier today. Cloudy. These guys were very sunny. My theory is, got the sixth win. You got the pressure off. You don't have to go into this game thinking you need to knock off a top 5 team to get to bowl eligibility. You get to run LA. You get the victory bell. You get that sixth win. You're going to play a bowl. Now you can just play loose, comfortable. You got really nothing to lose in this game. Notre Dame has a little pressure. They're the underdog because it is Notre Dame week. So that was what I would think I was seeing when these guys were coming out. Very good energy coming out of the locker room today.
Don't discount what a rivalry win can do for a team. I know that we kind of talked about it after the game and on Tunnel Vision about that it wasn't the prettiest win for USC, but hey, at least you beat a rival. I feel like everyone inside that locker room didn't care what the final score was. They were just happy to get the win over UCLA, celebrate on the field, in the locker room. They're planting the flags, they're stepping on the UCLA magazines in the locker room. Being able to just enjoy a win like that could be big for a team, even though on the outside, the way we perceive it, it wasn't a great win for USC.
Yeah, I mean, we say we don't care about or teams shouldn't care about the records when going into a rivalry game. Same thing should be said about the score because anything can happen in a rivalry game. UCLA played their butt off. USC had to play their butt off to get this win. So get the confidence of getting the victory bell back. I think USC is riding in a good spot right now. I don't like this Notre Dame matchup for USC, but they're in the Coliseum. We know USC plays much better in the Coliseum. Notre Dame hasn't really had a true road game in a long time, so if USC fans come loud, correct, USC could be in position, to end on a really high note, finish 2 games, maybe they can finish the third one and end the year, Jack.
Yeah, we got to hear from Lincoln Riley today as well as a handful of offensive players. What stood out to you from what you heard from Lincoln Riley?
I think, this game took a little bit of, not heat, but early in the year, Big Ten Media Days, Lincoln Riley made those comments about, the way college football is going and the scheduling of the college football playoff, maybe this game, Notre Dame USC, does not exist in the future, which, got people really upset. But he, has been on record. He's a big fan of rivalry games. He knows this game is important and how much it means to college football. USC, Notre Dame, 2 iconic programs going head-to-head, one of the most iconic rivalries in the sport. So he understands the importance, but I still think this game is still going to be talked about as a potential game that goes away in the future in the way that college football is going with the playoffs and everything and, needing to schedule right to put yourself in the best position. It's going to be a touchy subject for the next couple of years, but the way he was speaking right there, it doesn't sound like he wants this game to go, but we don't really know what's going to happen in the future, but he knows the importance of this one.
Yeah, and he was asked about offensive production this season as a whole and why maybe it has gone down a bit compared to the past couple years. And he mentioned, and he was pretty firm in mentioning, we didn't play cupcakes in the non-conference. We didn't play 3 easy layups in the non-conference, and we play in a tough conference with a lot of good defenses. He mentioned specifically a lot of good defensive lines. And to me, Chris, I don't know about you, it just felt a little bit like revisionist history. Like it was like he was trying to say USC has played a really tough schedule, which coming into the year, it might have looked like that with LSU, Notre Dame on the schedule, and Michigan on the schedule. But you look now, and LSU has 4 losses, and Michigan is, also barely making a bowl game. Notre Dame is clearly the hardest team, but USC has avoided the 3 best teams probably in the Big Ten in Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana. Now you had Penn State, but that game was at home. And USC also has losses to teams that Lincoln Riley said, we haven't played a bad team. I think we could easily say that Maryland is a bad team. Apologies to you. UCLA is a bad team. Minnesota has been pretty good, but that was a bad loss at the time. So, I don't know. Lincoln Riley bringing up the fact that the defenses are better in the Big Ten, but I think framing it as this, we haven't played a bad team, we haven't played any cupcakes, any layups, I don't know if that really fits this USC schedule.
I'm not going to take offense to the Maryland comment because the Terps are bad. They are pretty bad, and I still can't believe USC lost to that team. But yeah, I see it both ways. I see, coming this year it looked on paper to be a daunting schedule. LSU, Michigan, Penn State coming to town. But if you look back at it, this is a team and a schedule that USC was set up to win. All these games are so close. They could have been one-loss team going to this point of the season. So this was a very good year for USC to be just a little bit better in the fourth quarter, and if they're 50% better in the fourth quarter, we might be talking about a team that is going to a much better bowl and maybe even still contending for the college football playoff. So, yeah, I see what he's saying, but I think you're right. It's a little bit revisionist history. This wasn't a super, super tough schedule like it was early in the year. If we're looking back on it now, it's like they should have won a lot more games than they did this year.
And it would have been a good year for them to do so, obviously, with the SEC beating itself up and other teams losing, the Big 12 beating itself up. We're talking about a 3-loss team maybe making the college football playoff this season from the SEC, that if USC had just done what it needed to do and won the game against Michigan late or won any of these games late, they could have been in a good situation. Like this was the year, with the way that the schedules look in upcoming years and the way college football has played out this year. Of course, you can't look back and say, well, now I wish we would have won because teams have lost, but certainly would have been a good year for USC to do so. You have anything else that you really took away from what Lincoln Riley brought up?
More talk about the offensive line and how they've grown. I would agree that the offensive line has grown steadily throughout the season, and I think we're really seeing improvement. Early in the year we were talking about Alani Noah struggling out there. We haven't talked about Alani Noah struggling out there. He's been pretty solid. Elijah Page has really grown up. Still some growing pains, but not as much as we were seeing that first half of the season. I think Josh Henson's done a really good job with this group. They've grown a lot. They have to fill some holes going into next season, but I think they have some really good young guys in place that have grown up a lot this year between those two guys I just mentioned. So I think they have a good foundation for next season, and I'm excited to see what they do against this Notre Dame defense, which is going to be one of their toughest opponents of the season. So this is the big final exam for USC's offensive line and their offense in general.
Yeah, Elijah Page has been one of the best tackles in the Power Four in the last couple of weeks. Emmanuel Pregnon's been great all year. Jonah Monheim, one of the best centers in the Power Four these past couple of weeks as well. So that left side is good. Still some question marks on the right side, but Alani Noah, you're right, has grown up. Less of those bad plays you see on tape. And Mason Murphy has really been the only one it feels like consistently there have been questions. But this week against UCLA, the whole offensive line did a great job. And one of the reasons why you would have liked to see USC score more points because they got such a good performance from the offensive line against UCLA. Lincoln Riley mentioned a couple things about him too, that the Michigan game was a turning point and that they really grew from that. And then also, right before we were able to walk in, he said there was a developmental period where you get to see some of those backup offensive linemen who Elijah Page and Alani Noah might have been last season at times, and that you can see the years of development and recruiting paying off. So take that, at Lincoln Riley's word, but he's impressed by the depth that he sees on the offensive line right now.
And I think my last note, there was a surprise visitor here today, 5-star quarterback commit Hassan Longstreet just randomly showed up. Here to attend practice. Did not seem like the coaches knew he was coming. He just wanted to drop by, drop a surprise on them, and was able to watch practice for a little bit. So a little bit of good recruiting spark here as USC. We got about a little more than a week left until National Signing Day. So it's going to be a fun sprint to the end.
We got to talk to Jaden Mayava. We can kind of wrap up with that. He was not very talkative today. It was kind of a shorter press conference. Do you have anything that you mainly took away from Jaden Mayava?
Not really. I'm going to be completely honest. Kind of some of his answers were kind of completely stuck to the script. A lot of company lines. A lot of, we have to go and execute. It's a blessing kind of thing. So nothing I'm really going to try to pull out and extract for this instant. Very short, but maybe he's going to make some big plays on Notre Dame for not giving us good quotes here this week.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of just to the point. And you can't fault a player for being focused on the game. I would just say that that's the way that Jaden Mayava came off. And, they're focused on this game. And it's been a tough season. It's been a long season for USC. They're excited about going to a bowl game, but focused this week on Notre Dame, as Lincoln Riley brought up as well. And we'll see maybe if we see a little bit more personalities come out as the bowl season comes up for USC, as the game against Notre Dame happens this weekend, and then potentially going into the offseason. But that's all we've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I won't be on Instant Analysis tomorrow. I don't know if you and Connor are going to do it, but Thanksgiving's on Thursday. There is no Lincoln Riley Zoom, so we won't hear from him again until after the game on Saturday. But unless you have anything else to say, we can wrap it up.
Do you have any Thanksgiving advice?
No.
Okay. That's all he's got. No.
Look forward to Christmas. But for Chris Treviño, I'm Jack Smith. Thanks for watching Instant Analysis. Make sure you're checking out USCFootball.com for more.